Welcome to the 100th Monkey Radio Archives. We are talking with Sherri Cortland. And before we get going back into our conversation with her, I wanted to mention a couple things. I was invited, this is a first for me coming up here next month. I've actually been invited to come speak at a group, so I'm kind of excited about that. A little progress in my stepping out and sharing my voice. So
Where is it, Tom? The
it's going to
people who
be
live
it's going to
in
be
the area.
it's going to be in Bremerton, Washington. The group is called Devotion 100, and it's run by a beautiful lady by the name of Raven Rain. And I hope she don't mind me mentioning this, Raven. But it's going to be, actually, I guess it's 2 months. It's going to be September, the second Tuesday in September. And
Can anybody go, or?
I'm not sure how she's got this set up. So I have not been to any of these meetings up there yet. Raven's come down to my place here. I have a weekly little soul chat group, and she's been down here a couple times, and we've talked, and I've done some card reading for her and a little bit of chakra work. But yeah, it's a beautiful soul, absolutely beautiful soul, and yeah, I'm excited about doing this. Start stepping out and talking more. So don't talk enough already, but
we also have the video interviews that we should be posting up sometime this week.
Yeah, I've got
Mel, Bob, Dean, and James.
Yeah, I've got quite a bit of editing work to do on all the stuff that we got there at East SETI. Boy, I got quite a few different people, and then I got some amazing drum circle footage that was awesome.
Yeah, and also I don't know if we're using his music for this week because it's pre-recorded, but give big thanks to Christopher of the Wolves.
Right, he was amazing. Didgeridoo, oh, what an instrument. That thing puts out some vibrations that touch people deeply. So, yeah, so I'll be doing some editing here probably beginning of next week because I'm having to take off again out of state for a couple days here. And when I get back, I will begin the editing process and get some stuff posted. Oh, and look for the picture of the fairy or moth. We're not sure yet. I have to get it in the photo processor and see if I can get any more detail out of it to in the debate. So that was actually an amazing picture, though. So anyways, back with Sherri. Sherri.
Yes.
Oh, so you have a new book just came out.
Yes. It's called Raising Our Vibrations for the New Age.
So from the title, I'd have to assume that it has to do with raising our vibration.
Yes.
Very good, Tom.
Wow.
You're so intelligent, Tom.
Yeah.
Did you go to school for that?
Yeah, jeez. Come on.
This is a book about evolution, the evolution of the human race. And it's about how we can raise our own vibrations individually, how we can help to raise the vibrations of our species and also our planet. I'm sure you know that we're in the middle of a shift, a great shift in consciousness, and we're making tons and tons of progress, but there's still more work to do. And the whole purpose of this book is to help us get through this shift a little bit easier, a little bit faster, and so that we know what's going on. And also encouragement for our fellow light workers.
That brings me to something kept telling me to ask you about dependency. And what I mean by that is the dependency on the bearded god or the aliens or the spirit guide. It almost seems like we're addicted to, oh, I can't do this because so-and-so or God, or we're always like we're always dependent on somebody else to do things for us.
We are. We're always looking for that guru or that person to follow. And, Ramon, I'm so glad that you brought that up because in the last 18 months, since my first book came out, I've done a lot of workshops, I've done a lot of talks, and I've met so many great and wonderful people. And one of the things that I've noticed is that people now, they're not just searching for the truth about why we experience the things that happen to us, but they're also very much ready to accept responsibility now for their own learning and their own spiritual growth. And to me, I mean, that just screams evolution, because when we start to look inside, when we start to look to our higher self, when we start to question what's going on in the outside world and try to make up our own minds, I mean, that's progress, don't you think?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah,
that's where we are.
It's like, I'm going to quote James Gilliland. He always says, if you put me as your guru, you're in trouble.
Well, I mean, I could have sat there in that church and believed that my entire family was going to hell because they had statues of the Virgin Mary sitting over their fireplace, but you have to question that kind of thing. And that's evolution to me, the ability to question and the desire to question and the desire to push further and to come out of that closet. And we're all afraid to come out of that closet. Nobody wants to be called a weirdo, let alone me. But you know what? We just have to do that. And once you get out of that closet, you see that you're with a pretty great group of people.
Yeah. Is there any time that you met somebody that put things in perspective and then you start to wonder, was that person even human? And then they come in your life maybe 5-10 minutes or a couple days or a couple weeks or even a couple years, and then they leave our life so quickly, and then you wonder, was that person even human?
That is, what an interesting perspective. I have not had that happen to me, but I can so visualize that happening. I mean, I know that we go in and out of each other's lives quite often, and I know sometimes people feel so badly, they think, oh, why have I lost touch with this person, or 10 years have gone by and I haven't spoken to this person. But it could just be that that person popped in when they were needed. You did the work that you were supposed to do together, and then you each had to go on your merry way, for other windows of opportunity and other growth experiences. But I can very much see angels or folks from another planet or another dimension popping in. I mean, the only experience that I could tell you about with someone from another dimension would be my guide groups, and then Aknanda. He's Arcturian, and he kind of lowered his vibrations a little bit and to give me information for the new book. But that would be it for me. But I hope that it does happen.
Yeah. Did he, and this is my 3D mentality, did he ever explain to you his reality, or how he grew up? Because I'm always curious about the social environment of these extraterrestrial, because if they're that high up, as they say about the Arcturians, I don't think they grew up the same way we did.
You mean what's their world look like?
Yeah, everything,
Well, when we make the shift to the fifth dimensional energy, my guide groups told me a little bit about what we can expect when we get to the to that energy level. And they've said that our bodies are going to be much more light, a light body type of thing. And that instead of working on karmic debt and growth experiences, that our lives are going to be spent working on projects, very project oriented, and we're going to be able to work on things that we want to work on. And that when we first hit that fifth dimensional energy, we're still going to incarnate the same way that we do now, but eventually that will stop. It takes a little while, I guess, to go up. Even in the fifth dimensional energy, there are different levels of it. They say that obviously there's not going to be any war. That's all going to be gone. There's not going to be any hunger. So that's a good thing to look forward to. Something that I'm very happy about is that we're not going to kill animals for food. Being a vegetarian and loving animals the way that I do, I was very, very happy to learn that. We are going to, start out growing food, but then eventually we're not going to need food anymore. Like I said, there are different levels of the fifth dimensional energy, and, we start out with the baby steps. But a very peaceful time. And they also say that when we do hit that frequency, that at that point in time, we're going to take our place in the galactic world, that we're going to be wide awake to our brothers and sisters from other planets, and we're going to have regular contact with them.
So I've noticed personally that even in my own life, and I've noticed that I've had other people tell me about their own experiences with this, is that I personally, my eating habits and my sleeping habits have both changed in the last few years. I used to be the normal, 3 meal a day, and I'd get my 8 hours of sleep, and the last couple of years, it's been I'll eat, I might have a snack or two during the day, but I only eat 1 meal, and then my sleeping pattern has changed dramatically. If I get more than 5 or 6 hours of sleep a night, I have slept way more than I normally do. And I feel fantastic, and my weight and health has been very good. My weight goes about 3 or 4 pounds both directions, never changes. And comparing it to what I did 5 years ago, my sleep patterns and my eating patterns 5 years ago, I don't know how I'm able to keep the same energy or more energy level and keep my body weights up, and everything seems to be functioning so much better. So I don't know, am I absorbing this through just life? Am I absorbing, it's one of those baffling subjects that are like, how is this happening?
Well, you're a light worker, and the bottom line is that light workers have a mission. We have a mission, and we are here to assist the transition of the human race and the planet Earth to the higher vibrational level of the fifth dimension. And as you're doing that work, and this radio show is such a huge part of that work and doing so much good for the evolution of our kind, you're adapting to the fifth dimensional energy. And as you're adapting, your body is changing, your vibration is raised, you're very much tuned into the fifth dimensional energy. And so things change. And the sleep thing, I've heard that from a lot of people, and even myself. I used to love to get 10 hours of sleep. Now I get 6 hours of sleep and I'm just fine. And any more than that seems like too much. So I'm totally with you on that. I think it's just an adjustment to the fifth dimensional energy, as we're raising our vibrations.
Now, here's my question. Those human beings, most of them are from the East. I'm sure there's some here in the West, that don't need to eat, don't drink water, especially from India. Are they, in your opinion, are they in the fifth dimension already, or are they in such a high level of 3 dimension?
That's an excellent question, and I think that they're in both. I think that they're multidimensional. I think they're able to go back and forth.
Because I can't remember the guy's name, where they locked him up for 3 weeks in the hospital and gave him no food, no water, and had watched him very closely. And then when he went in, he was the same way as he came out.
Wow, that's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
If they locked me up for 3 weeks, I would hope that I could pop into the fifth dimension.
Yeah, you might not have a choice.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would just hope. I hope that would happen.
So, unfortunately, me and Tom haven't had the opportunity to read your second book, and we loved your first book.
I'm going to get that out to you as soon as possible.
Can you go back in time and get it to us?
Yeah, I wish I could. Wouldn't that be cool? I
So,
can't wait till we can do that kind of thing.
Yeah, if you
so
pop it in here about 4 days ago or so, that'll give me plenty of time to read it and absorb it well.
yeah.
My publisher is so good at getting those books out, but then they were sponsoring this conference, and you know what? It's my fault. I have to take responsibility because I should have reminded them. And
No,
also, they don't realize this is being pre-recorded either, and we were thinking that I was going to be on actually in July, so that they probably thought they had more time. So I take responsibility for
uh,
that, but
no
but
worries.
I'll take you through. I'll take you through the book. But I think one of the most important things about the book is that it's very much written for light workers because light workers have it so difficult, I think, because we have dual responsibilities. We have to be human beings and we have to deal with all the things that human beings have to deal with. We have to deal with the trials, the tragedies, the pain, all the nonsense that goes on just in the daily life of a human being. But then we have other responsibilities too, and we have to create positive energy. We have to do things to attract and draw the light, and it's just a lot of work for a light worker. And some of us are just waking up now, some of us have been awake, some of us are very tired, some of us don't want to come out of the closet, some of us come out kicking and screaming, and there's just so much that has to be done and can be done. And that's what this book, that's the main point for this book, to help us see the things that we can do to raise our own vibrational levels. Do you want me to talk about some of the
Well,
things
let me
that,
let
Yes.
me let me ask you a question, and you may have covered it in your this book. Uh, Now, during this last week at ECETI, I had quite a few profound things happen to me personally, and I came to a understanding within myself that I have been focused on uh, learning this information and doing the light work and caring for others and uh, healing the planet and healing others and trying to help with the process of the global awakening. And my focus has been external, where I've focused on everyone else and everything else. And in this process, I have, and it's a little complicated, this whole scenario, but I found this week, I recognized this week that I had been neglecting a very important part of my own life, in my own personal life, and I had some events happen that brought this to the forefront and made me actually recognize, hey, Tom, you need to take care of yourself too.
oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And you know that's what this book centers on. It's the work that we need to do on ourselves. And you'd be surprised at the tiny little changes, the tiny little things that we can do in our lives that are going to create more positive energy. There are basically three things that we need to do on a daily basis to help us raise our vibrational level and to make this shift in consciousness easier. The first is to create more positive energy. The second is to spew out less negative energy. And the third is to consciously do things on a daily basis to attract and draw the light to the planet. And Gilbert, the main guide for this second book, he has outlined in several chapters different things that we can all do that are very, very simple that will help us get to that fifth dimensional energy one vibration at a time.
One of the things I was thinking about that popped into my head as you're saying that is I met a gentleman who's also from New York at the conference, and we were both talking how we both love to sit in the train and meditate. Now, I did it in New York when I lived in New York, and now that I live in Japan, I do it in Japan. And the understanding we both came to, that somebody else had pointed out to me, and I believe it was Pam from ECETI, that as you're sitting there meditating in a train, you're raising the frequency of that train car.
Yes, you are. Absolutely. And everyone there around you, yourself, everyone around you, we are all connected. If I have learned nothing else in over 30 years of searching for the truth, it's that we are all connected, every single one of us. And when one of us raises our own personal vibrational level, all of our vibrational level goes up. That's how we interact. That's how we help ourselves. You are so spot on with that, Ramon.
Yeah, I was it's funny because I'll sit at home and do the meditation, but they're never as powerful as the ones I have on the train. So
well, because you're tapping into the energy of everyone around you. You know, you're very intuitive and you're very open to that energy.
so I'll be classified as one of those weirdos like the rest of us.
I think the fact that you have this radio show speaks for itself, don't you? And the fact that I'm on it says the same thing about me.
That's hilarious because there was one girl who a young girl, and she just kept saying the whole time at the conference, it's like, you're weird, and I would always say, I'm weird. Your father brought you to a UFO conference. Who's weird?
Fun than a UFO conference. I can't imagine. I really can't. But you know what I'd like to talk about, if it's okay with you guys, is just a couple of the things that we can all do to attract and draw that fifth dimensional light to ourselves and to the planet.
Yes, please.
Absolutely.
All right. Okay. Well, you know, you're going to laugh when you hear these things because they are just so simple and sometimes ridiculous, but it just shows you the small things that we can do. One of the things that Gilbert and that group say is that what we can do is we can start to say nice things to other people. Look for nice things to say, but you have to mean what you say. You can't just make up stuff. You have to say it in a positive way, and you really have to mean it. But it's not really that hard to find nice things to say to somebody, you know? I mean, unless you live in a nudist colony or you're visiting a nudist colony, everybody that you see is wearing clothes. They've got on a shirt, pants, skirt, jewelry, something. Everybody has hair or no hair or glasses. You can find something nice to say to almost everybody that you meet. And when you say something nice to someone, it's just a huge, huge pop of positive energy that they receive and that you receive also. And that helps to raise the energy level right there. Another thing that you can do is as simple as holding the door open for somebody. And this is something that I've been practicing since the guide groups told me about this, because this may sound sexist, but I get a kick out of holding the door open for men, because men don't want a woman to hold the door open for them. And they just stand there looking at you, and I say, look, it's 2011. It's okay. Go, go, go. And then they just start to laugh and they smile and they go through, you know. And then positive energy is achieved that way, and we draw the light to ourselves.
It's funny because in Japan it's the reverse. So yeah, there's so many times where I'm gonna go up the steps and the women will step aside and let me go first, and I'm like, no, you go first. And you know, like, especially if it's with women that I'm either teaching English to, or I part-time at one school, and she was like, oh, you know, such a gentleman. You know, so it's actually quite the opposite, because in Japan it's very common. It's such a male society that if an old lady comes on the train, the person you expect to stand up is another woman.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what the women of Japan do as the vibrational level starts to increase, you know, because we can't really judge what's going on in Japan. We don't know if there's some kind of a group karma thing where entities are incarnating as women to learn some kind of a group lesson by being slightly subservient to men. Could be, I don't know, you know. Or maybe they are just going to come into the 20th century, 21st century, I should say. It'll be very interesting to watch what goes on in Japan and see how it plays out.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
what are some of the other things that the your group guides has been saying in the new
Well,
book?
another thing that they say, and this one is so funny to me. They say when you and someone else are vying for the same parking spot, let the other person have the parking spot. That creates positive energy. And I'll tell a little story on myself here about that. I don't care about parking spots. It doesn't matter to me at all that I get the parking spot that's closest to the store. I'll park all the way at the end. I just want to get in and get out. But my best friends, Heidi and my husband, Ted, they are two people who must get the closest spot, and they will circle the parking lot 5 times, 10 times until they get it. But wait, there's more, because they pull into a spot and then they see somebody else who has a closer spot pull out. They want to move. They want to go up into that spot. Now, in the past, have made very snarky comments about their parking, and I have learned now.
Did you say snarky?
Snarky, yes, very snarky.
I like that.
It's the first time I hear that word.
Oh, really? You never heard that before? Well,
No.
I'm very aggravated, and I'm very judgmental about the fact that they're wasting my time looking for a parking spot. So anyway, I have been working on that. I'm working on all of these things, but that's one that I've particularly been working on, and I've learned to keep my mouth shut. So that keeps me from being rude. That keeps me from being judgmental. So that's like a new age BOGO there, buy one, get one free in raising my vibrations. But I still have work to do on this parking spot thing, because I cannot yet say nice parking spot and do it in a way that's not sarcastic. So for now, I'm keeping my mouth shut, but that's the next thing I'm working on that.
That's funny.
Do you guys search for the closest parking spot?
I don't drive. I don't have a license. Growing up in the city, never got a license, and then now living in Tokyo. Well, close to Tokyo.
You could drive there. That'd be crazy. Tom, how about you?
Well, I don't drive around looking for them, but I always drive towards an area in the parking lot that I would obviously the optimal spot, and I would say 75% of the time that my spot's there for me. So
so you're making it happen. I love that.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And if it's not there, I don't worry about it. I find the first spot.
Yeah.
My friend Heidi has been practicing that now, and she says that 9 times out of 10 she has a nice close parking spot. So that's good. So we're all making progress that way. The single best thing that we can do to help to raise our vibrations and to attract light to the planet and to ourselves, it is the smallest thing in the world, but it packs the biggest vibrational punch. It's smile. Smile at other people.
That is true. I remember this was, how long ago was this? This was like either 1998 or 1999. At that time, I lived in what they call now Morningside Heights, and there was this gentleman coming, and he was walking really mean, and he had like this really bad energy to him. And I was thinking of a song that just popped into my head all of a sudden, because myself, I was like getting ready, like, okay, just in case he wants to get into it, I should be ready. But then this song pops into my head, and it's by Roy Ayers, Everybody Loves the Sunshine. I don't know if either you or Tom are familiar with his work. And I started singing the song out loud, and when he got close, he relaxed his guard.
Oh.
And I was so shocked by that. I was so taken back by that, because I just kept singing that song out loud, and I'm not a good singer. But it just relaxed him, because the energy that song carries.
Yeah, the positive energy.
Yeah,
it absolutely does. And with the smiles are contagious. You cannot smile at someone and they don't smile back at you. It's absolutely impossible. I have been practicing smiling on strangers for over a year now, and I have yet to smile at someone who does not smile back.
Okay, now here's my question, and it might be 100% out of ignorance. I hear this complaint about women who move into cities, especially like New York, where they come from a place where they used to always smile, and then they stopped smiling because it would it would give the wrong impression to men. So,
You know, I thought about that myself just the other day when I was giving a lecture about smiling. I thought, what about giving the wrong impression? But I have been smiling at strangers, and I'm sure at least 50% of them are men now for a year, and I have not felt afraid or gotten a bad reaction or felt that I was giving the wrong impression. I totally get where you're coming from, though, speaking for women who would get nervous that way. Now, you know, I think that I would always be aware of my surroundings, but I would still smile. I would still smile.
so do you think that it's maybe the intention, like they used to smile before in their small town where they come from, or in the country that they come from, and then in New York they still trying to keep up the same thing, but they still now they have that fear? Is that maybe why they're attracting the wrong?
Obviously, yeah, they're bogged down in fear. I think you're absolutely right, and that's something that they need to get past. I used to travel to New York City for work. I used to work for a company that had offices in upstate New York and also in Manhattan. And even when I went to Manhattan, even in the late 80s, early 90s, I still smiled at people. I think it's a fear that you have to get over. And why isn't the city friendly? Because everyone's afraid to smile. It's time to push past that, I think, and we need to smile at each other and say nice things.
Yeah. And it's funny because the 7-Eleven near my house in Japan, when I go in, okay, so everybody like in all these corporate places, like 7-Eleven kind of place, they're very polite, but it's kind of like automatic, like a machine almost. They're like,
Right.
"Welcome to the store. Um, what else you need?" But it's there's not that friendliness that you get from mom and pops. So, for example, you know, how are you today? How's work? How's the kids? Or how's your wife? Blah 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 blah. So it's very automatic. And then
Yeah,
now,
you're not seeing that smile in their eyes. They're
like,
just going through the motions.
exactly. And I go in there and I started saying hi to them, and I would ask them like, how was your day and stuff like that. And they have a saying in Japanese that it means great, great kind of job, or thank you for your hard work kind of thing when they're getting off. So I would say that to them, and now every time they come in, the whole little evening crew always like, hey, how are you doing? And very friendly, and like they cheer up.
Well, there you go. Do you see how you changed them just by being friendly and saying nice things to them and smiling at them? You changed their whole attitude and their whole demeanor.
Yeah.
You gave them a positive energy burst, and now you guys exchange positive energy whenever you see each other. You are the poster child for my new book, Ramon.
So now that what other things do they cover? Because I know as
Well,
humans we take the simple things and we just love complicating them. And I don't know
we
what
do.
is it. It must be a karmic thing as a species that we just love complicating everything.
Well, we're human beings. It's just part of our nature, and it's what we need to evolve past. That's part of going from the third dimensional energy to the fifth dimensional energy, I think. And another thing to raise our vibrations, besides attracting and doing things to draw the light to the planet, we can stop spewing out negative energy. And if you stop to think about it, if you really stop to think about it and pay attention to what you do and say just in a 124-hour period, you'll see all the places where negative energy just pours out of you. I mean, when I was making those snarky remarks to my husband and my friend for their parking habits, I was just oozing negative energy. And so I had to learn to keep my mouth shut. But things that we can do to stop putting out negative energy would be to stop gossiping, because that doesn't help anybody. we can stop judging people. The big thing on judging people, and you were talking earlier about the butterfly,
That put us in
you might
check.
have,
Yeah.
yeah, that puts you in check. You might have been slightly judgmental. The thing about judging other people is this, when we're on the other side and we're planning for this incarnation, and we know at that point why we're going to have all of the experiences that we're going to have over here. We're planning them for a reason. But once we get back here into body, the veil goes down. We have forgotten everything. We don't know who we are anymore, or what experiences we're going to have, or why. And if we can't remember the whys and whats of our own incarnation, who are we to be judging somebody else's? We just don't know. And, we could be in a store. I mean, you're talking about 7-Eleven, going in there and they're going through the motions. Maybe that they don't seem quite as friendly as we want them to be or expect them to be. We don't know what's going on in that person's life. It could be that the person behind the counter, maybe they have a sick child and they were up all night and had no sleep. Maybe they had a car accident on the way to work. Maybe they ran out of gas. Maybe they're not feeling well themselves. Maybe they just had someone pass over to the other side. There are just a multitude of things that could be affecting that person on the other side of the counter. And we can't really do anything about that, but we have a choice. We can be very judgmental. We can think nasty thoughts about them, and thoughts are very much things in this day and age. Or we can say nasty things out loud, which just pours out negative energy. Or we can go the light workers way, and we can try and put a positive spin on it and just think to ourselves, oh, maybe this person is just out of sorts, and not add to the situation with negative energy. Do you know what I mean by that?
Absolutely.
I'll give you an example of that, and it's something that I need to check myself on all the time. So I was with my father-in-law and my wife and his best friend, and we were in an elevator in the airport. Now, going down the elevator is very crowded, and in Japan, no matter how crowded something is, people will squeeze themselves in because no one will say, take the next one, or like I know from taking the trains in New York City, once people start pushing, people start getting upset. So but it's not like that in Japan. You push and nobody will say nothing. So this guy comes on the elevator with his wife and a newborn baby no older than a month, and they're pushing themselves in, and I got so upset at that. I just got out the elevator and let them in so they could take the place where I'm taking. Now, at the same time I'm doing this act of kindness, I'm just thinking, what a beep,
Yes.
So I understand what you mean, because even though I did act of kindness and to everybody else, I was like, oh, that's nice. But in my mind, I was, really giving him the full.
I know. But you know what? As light workers, we are excellent manifestors, and we are such terrific manifestors on a subconscious level. Sometimes we don't realize the effect that our thoughts and our words have on the situations around us and on our own spiritual growth. So one of the main things that the guide groups talk about is that we really have to start watching what we think, what we say, and what we do. And if you think about it, it's really true, because there isn't anything that doesn't happen or anything that wasn't invented that wasn't first a thought. Everything comes from our thoughts. So our thoughts are really powerful. And I think one of the things that the guide groups really want to get across to the readers of this book is that we are very powerful. We have power, and we need to use that power to help us increase our vibrations, to help us evolve. And the sooner that we realize who we are and the great power that we have individually, we'll see the power that we have collectively and realize that we're all connected, and we'll get ourselves to the next step of our evolution that much faster.
Okay. So with that being said, does this go into, as you see the name of our show, the 100th Monkey?
I love that name.
So I'm assuming you're familiar with the.
I read a little bit about it. Yes.
Okay. So is that what we're trying to do here with with raising our vibrations? Are we going to get to the point that
Have you any insight from your guide group on us reaching the critical mass and the consciousness becoming common knowledge?
or
Oh, I
are you
so
the
appreciate
100th
this.
monkey?
I wish I had an answer. The guide groups are very clear to me that, this whole 2012 thing. That to me, this is just a big thing put together by advertisers and PR firms to sell, and movie producers to sell movie tickets and product. I don't believe that the whole 2012 thing is really a reality at all. I think that we are knee deep, maybe even waist deep in the shift in consciousness. And I don't think anybody can really say for sure when we're gonna get through it, when we're gonna get to the other side. Don't know when we're gonna reach that critical frequency vibrational level. And I don't think that anyone knows, because things change every day. Every single day things change, and exponentially too. So no one can really say exactly when it's going to be. But now that I've brought up this whole 2012 thing, I don't. What I get from my guide groups is, don't go out and spend your kids' college fund or spend your 401k money thinking that on, what is it, December 22nd, there isn't going to be a planet here anymore. That's not the way that they say that it's going to go down. You should continue to live life the way that you're living it, but keep in mind, if I had to bring this all back to any one particular thing to wrap up this 2 hours, I would say do unto others the way that you would have them do unto you. Because if we treat everyone that we meet and see and our planet the way that we want to be treated, then we are going to evolve, and we are going to evolve that much faster and get those lovely little light bodies and be able to do all those great and wonderful things that you can do when you have a fifth dimensional energy.
Mhm. So have they given you, can you go more in depth of what are, well, before I ask that question, what is exactly going to happen to the planet? Because I've heard some people say, like, there's going to be a split of two worlds, or that the planet is going to no longer be able to hold its vibration. So on a 3D point of view, it's going to be destroyed, but then it moves into a 5D. But from the 3D point of view, it's destroyed. What
Well,
is
that's an excellent question. Excellent question. What I understand from my 3 guide groups is that it's kind of a parallel universe type of thing. The third dimensional Earth is still going to exist, whether it's in this space or in another space. There's still going to be a 3D Earth, because not everyone on the planet is going to shift, and not everyone on the planet is meant to shift at this point. There are still entities who need to work in this kind of density and with this kind of duality, a type of energy, in order to learn certain lessons. There are also going to be people who can absolutely shift, but who are going to choose to remain in the third dimensional energy to help bring the third dimensional Earth along a little bit further. So I do believe that there still is going to be a third dimensional Earth. I don't think it's going to be destroyed, although there are some that say that this particular space that we're in right now is going to be no more, but the third dimensional Earth will carry on just in another space. For the fifth dimensional Earth, what I have gotten pictures of and what I see, and I've read this also in a lot of Dolores Cannon's books, kind of picture a circle and then another circle overlapping it, and like the fifth dimensional energy Earth kind of pulling away from the third dimensional Earth, and sort of a parallel universe type of thing.
So
what do you guys think?
the question I got in my head was, now, as we have these spirit guides, when we move to the fifth dimension, do we become spirit guides to either our past self or our present three-dimensional self? So our awareness is here on the 3D, but then it'll move on to the 5D. Do we start becoming spirit guides to ourselves in the past or to ourselves in the present, or however. Time is funny that way.
I hope that you guys will have me back on this show, because there is nothing more fun than talking about these things with you. And with that question, that is such another great question. My understanding of the
I'll pay the writers extra money this week.
There you go. When we hit the fifth dimension, we're still going to be incarnated. We're still going to have bodies, but they're going to be much lighter bodies. They're a light body type of situation, and we're going to be very project oriented, not karma oriented. But we're not at that point. We're not going to be spirit guides for anyone. When we're on the other side of the veil, the fifth dimension is not the other side of the veil. But when we're on the other side of the veil and we're in between incarnations, we absolutely act as guides, spirit guides for our friends who are incarnated. We all take turns doing that. Whomever your spirit guides are right now, you've probably been their guide when they were incarnated.
So do you think we ever do the the time slip thing for ourselves and actually help to guide our own self from the other dimension?
I absolutely believe that. I am sure that our higher self is firmly placed in a higher dimension, maybe even higher than the fifth. I don't know, but is absolutely guiding us. And another great point, Tom, thank you for bringing this up. Pay attention to that little voice within, because that little voice within is your higher self trying to steer you in the right direction. And speaking for myself, the times that I don't listen to that little voice within, that's when I get in trouble. Had I listened to that little voice within, I probably could have learned a lot of lessons a lot more easily, saved myself a lot of drama and pain, and a lot of other people drama and pain as well. And you know what? I just have to take this opportunity to say just one more thing. Even though I'm sitting here and I'm talking about how to create more positive energy, how to put out less negative energy, things to attract and draw the light, I don't want you guys or anybody in your audience to think that I have accomplished all of this, because I have been working on this stuff now for a year, and I still can't say nice parking spot without being sarcastic. So I have a lot of work to do on myself as well, but you got to get started. You've got to start someplace. And so I think that the best course of action, this was my course of action, so that's why I think it's the best, is to start with something small that's easy to incorporate in your daily life. Something like smiling or holding the door open or saying nice things. Master that and then move on to something else. And then every day you're going to make progress, not only for yourself, but for our planet and for the human race.
There was something else that popped in my head. It's funny because usually Tom's the one who's always doing this. I guess it must be your house, Tom.
Yeah, it could be it.
So there was an experience that someone told us, and we were doing this thing called holotropic breathing. And it was done with James Gilliland's brother, Jay Gilliland. And if anybody has a chance to do that, they should try it. So anyway, he's telling the experience where he has this vision, and I won't mention his name, but he goes back to his past where he attempted to commit suicide and gives himself some love. And then
nice.
And then what he remembers, he made the connection there because he remembers that when he did attempt to do that, he felt this love wash over him. So
wow.
It's what just clicked right now, because I didn't even realize when he was saying it, is that we can act ourselves as our own spirit guide in the same 3D reality. Does that make any sense?
I see what you're saying. Yes, I absolutely see what you're saying now. I didn't quite get it when you were saying it before. You know, time is not linear the way that we accept it to be. And there are many who believe that we have many expressions of ourself, that we've got our higher self, but then we have many expressions. There's lots of Ramones and lots of Toms and lots of Sherrys running around, just with, different personalities working on different things. And if time is not linear, if everything is happening at the same time, the past, present, and the future, which is what many, many people believe, then why not? Why couldn't we go back, give ourselves some love, kind of get ourselves back on the right track? I've got goosebumps just talking about it. The whole parallel universe, multiverse thing. I can so see that happening. And by going back and averting a suicide, you save so much work, because the person who commits suicide usually is just wanting to hurt somebody and make a point. They really don't want to give up this incarnation. And when they get to the other side, they're like, oh my gosh, what have I done now? And then all those windows of opportunity are lost that they were supposed to be involved in. And everybody has to, really shuffle and make new windows. So that would be such a great thing to be able to do. I love just the thought of that.
Yeah. So with that being said, would you be able to do that for someone who, in our present timeline, already committed suicide, and you go back, so maybe they won't come back from the dead in our timeline, but in another timeline, they avoided doing that? Is that, in your opinion, is that possible?
You know what? I'm going to say that it is, because I did a little, after I read the parallel universe stuff, and I had the guides saying how we were going to pull apart the fifth dimension, the third dimension. I started to read up on multiverse a little bit, and if every decision that we make leads to another universe, why not? Why couldn't that happen? I think it's entirely possible. I mean, this kind of physics, or I don't know, lack of a better word to call it, is way beyond me. It's way beyond me. But I just love the thought of it. I say, why not?
Absolutely. Oh, so I want to jump backwards here for a second. You asked our opinion on what's going to be happen around the 2012 whole fiasco.
Yeah, what are you guys thinking?
I tend to agree with you on the point that I think it's going to be a lot different than what the majority of people anticipate. It's going to be much. Oh, geez, how do I want to phrase this? Well, there's a lot of hot air blowing right now.
We were talking about this. When was it? Today or yesterday?
I think it was yesterday. But
Yeah.
I think Mother Earth has the ability to make this a very smooth ride for us, even if we are going through very dramatic and large Earth changes and dimension shifts and growth into new forms and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think this is going to be a much smoother ride than what people think.
I agree.
We'll be pleasantly surprised when the sky doesn't fall.
Tom, it's going to be like Y2K back in 2000.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah.
We're going to wake up the next day.
Who was telling, Tom, was that you, or I can't remember.
That was me.
No, with looking at the boat, looking at Earth as a nautical boat? Was that a speaker, or was that you when we were talking somewhere?
I
believe that was you.
I think that was me. I don't remember how that whole conversation went.
Okay, so basically,
it made sense when I said it.
Yeah, sometimes.
And now I want to hear it.
Tom gets plugged in, and I've learned to recognize when he's completely plugged in. So anyway, he was explaining like a boat. So you have your passengers on this boat called Earth, and as you're sailing along, Mother Earth would take care of her passengers.
Oh, so, I remember. Yes, that was me.
That was you, right?
Yep.
So as you're shifting through this cosmic sea, and Mother Earth is going through what she needs to go through personally, that we as well, that she protects her passengers that need to be protected, and those that need to move on to reincarnate will move on, basically, something like that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that makes sense to me. Definitely there are bumps. I mean, the weather changes there. I mean, there are so many catastrophic things that are so heartbreaking. I mean, I can't watch the news. I don't know if you guys do, but I can't watch the news. I
Yeah, I
cry
gave
my
it up.
eyes out. I gave it up years ago. I mean, I can barely even read the newspaper anymore because I guess I just cry much more easily nowadays. I don't know, but I definitely do. But I think that the thing that we have to remember as we go through all of these changes and these bumps and these catastrophes is that we asked to be here. We wanted to be here during this time. It's a very exciting time. We're evolving. We're taking the human race to a place it's never been before. You know, maybe it should have happened during the Atlantean times. Maybe it could have happened and probably could have happened sooner if we didn't have the whole Hitler thing and maybe some other bumps along the way. But we're here now. We are taking the human race to a place it's never been before spiritually, and that's a big deal. And we knew when we were on the other side what we were going to encounter. A little harder to take now because we're kind of, our eyes are closed and we're asleep. But we either volunteered to be here, or I guess we were dragged kicking and screaming to be here. We were drafted. Some of us probably were drafted. Those of us who want to get on that ship and go back home. But you know, the bottom line is that the more that we band together, because we are connected. Think of that spider web you were talking about earlier, Ramon. We are connected. And if we do these little things, one vibration at a time, if we're nicer to each other, we pull in that light, we are going to get through this easier and easier and easier as we go along. It's all about us concentrating and being aware of our words, our thoughts, and our actions, and changing them for the better.
There's one trait that I see as being so beneficial to the light worker right now, and it is formulating and developing a sense of loving detachment within themselves. To be able to look,
Yes.
be able to exist in this world, be aware of what's going on out there, all the, you know, ugliness, whatever you want to call it, all the negativity that is out there, but and still being able to, you know, feel the compassion and feel the love and project that out there, but have enough separation from it within yourself and recognition of the fact that they have to go through their process on their path, even if us as the observer sees what they're doing and recognizes that, oh, that is just horrible. I can't believe that is happening to them. We have to still keep grounded within ourselves, and if we find ourselves falling into the pattern of what's the word I'm looking for? Becoming too deeply enveloped into the emotion involved with the catastrophes or the pain that you see, you have to be able to detach yourself from it a little bit and be able to pull back into yourself and recognize that this is a process that has to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. When you see something like Hurricane Katrina, I mean, your heart just goes out to these people. But you also have to recognize, and being a light worker and being awake enough to see this, this is a world of opportunity, windows of opportunity for people to learn lessons. And something like that is an agreed to thing. You know, that's a group karma thing, an agreed to thing. But it's so hard to do what you're saying, but so important to do it. And then when something like that happens, even though we have to detach a little bit emotionally, or we would kill ourselves because we become so sensitive, you know, the higher our vibrations get. We also have to look for ways to help, because something like a catastrophe of that nature, there are so many ways that we can jump in and help. And when we do that, we raise our vibrations and we raise the vibrations of the planet.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm so with you on that, Tom. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the letter. Tom, was it you who read that letter? I'm like forgetting who's doing what.
Which letter? The one from that lady in Japan?
Yes.
Uh, about uh, she was so amazed. There was a woman that their home had been destroyed, and the whole neighborhood was just absolutely devastated by the hurricane, by the tsunami. But she had started seeing the silver lining involved with it, where everybody was gaining such a great sense of community. People were
Mm-hmm.
looking out for each other, helping where needed. Uh, the reaction to this great catastrophe was from the heart.
Yeah. The more awake we are, the more we start to see those things.
Yeah, and I mean, I also got to re-mention something you said earlier, Sherry, that we we don't have to go through these hard times that we go through. I mean, sometimes you have something on a world scale, but on a personal level, um, we really don't have to make our life such a heartache.
No,
You
we
know,
don't.
yeah, for
We
example.
and we're seeing this start to develop in the world. Well, it's been developing for a while, but we're starting to really see the uh, the physical effects of the quote unquote light workers out there spreading this vibration and creating the the foundations for us collectively being able to change the direction that this world has been going and to start creating this new paradigm world, this peace on earth, this uh, community of brothers and sisters.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And don't these things make us recognize our communities and become more involved in the community? So what seems like a tragedy in a way isn't. It's something to help us evolve and grow. But unless you're awake and paying attention to these things, it just seems like, oh, woe is me. Why do these terrible things keep happening to me?
Yeah.
So
I guess the point I'm trying to make is the 100th monkey is just around the corner, and
The 100th monkey is here. I mean, we're so close to it, I think.
we'll be able to show that uh, this isn't a fruitless journey.
No, no, absolutely not. There are more and more and more. Look how, listen, you're going to go out and do your first speaking thing now. There are more and more of us going out and talking and more people coming out. When my first book came out, I was scared to death of what was going to happen to me at work. You know, here I am, director of specialty sales, and what's going to happen? Am I going to lose my job? No. Well, here's what happened to me. People came up to me and said, you know, I had a UFO experience. Let me tell you what happened to me. Or let me tell you about this person. I think they're a relationship villain. Let me tell you about this life script that I have. They really related to it, but they didn't have anybody really to go and talk to about it. And once I popped out of that closet, there was no really going back for me. You know, there was the website, the book was out, I was on the radio. And so suddenly people thought, well, I can open up to her. They didn't want me to discuss what was going on with them with anybody else, but I can tell you that dozens and dozens and dozens of people that you would not think would even give the thought of reincarnation any credence were opening up and talking about past lives and talking about relationship villains and that kind of thing. So it was really heartwarming to see that. The more of us that get out there and talk about it, the more the rest of us are going to wake up.
Agreed.
that that is very, very true. It's like a lot of people always tell me, and I don't know if a lot of people tell you, Tom, it's like, oh, I always want to do a radio show or I always want to write a book, but there's so many out there. And I said, no, there's not enough. If you feel like doing a radio show or you feel, and I'm talking to the audience out there now, if you guys feel like you should be writing a book, write that book. If you
Absolutely.
feel like you should be doing that radio show, do that radio show. I mean,
Get your voice out there.
you can email any of us, and we'll guide you. We won't do it for you, but we'll guide you so you guys can
Yes.
do it, because you don't know who you're touching at this very moment when you're doing what you're doing. And as soon as our voice goes out in the air, as soon as that book gets published, it has a life of its own. It changes lives. So you might be changing the person or guiding that person that is going to become the next president or something that's going to change, or that 100th monkey, you know. So for those of you who feel like don't hold back. Don't say, oh, there's too many radio shows or there's too many books on this subject. Write it, because the way you word it is going to really impact the one person that you might never ever get to meet or even know about.
Absolutely. You will reach an audience that someone else is unable to reach. You know, different people resonate with different people, and the folks who are drawn to my writing might not be drawn to yours, but they're going to be drawn to somebody's. So the more we get out there, the better off we all are. And on that subject too, I would like to add one thing. When it comes to being in contact with the other side and having these guide groups that have dictated this material, I really look at myself as a secretary to the guides. That's what I'm just a secretary, and there's nothing special about me at all. Absolutely nothing special about me. If you want to do automatic writing, if you want to get in touch with your guides, you can do it. You just have to pick a time, sit down every day, email me. I'll send you all the instructions. I won't take up the airtime now to do that. But you just have to know that you can do it. Anyone who wants to contact their guides can contact their guides. Absolutely.
You know what, Sherri? I think that might be very, very important for you to do that, because this is in the archive and it's not on the air. I think it's very important that you tell us how you do this automatic writing. What is the steps that you take?
You want me to go through the actual steps of the automatic writing?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, all right, that's no problem at all. First of all, you have to make sure that you don't get discouraged, because becoming discouraged is not going to work here. You could get through, you could make contact the first time. It could take 2 or 3 months. It took me several months to break through. After reading all the Ruth Montgomery books and deciding that I wanted to do it myself, I sat down at my table in the kitchen every morning for 3 months holding onto that pencil. And you know what happened, guys? Absolutely nothing. That's what happened. Nothing. Not a thing. Nothing. And then I was taking psychic development classes, and every week the teacher would talk about a new age metaphysical subject. One night she said, "Okay, tonight we're going to do automatic writing." And having the big mouth that I have, that you can all tell that I have, I said, I will never be able to do that. And as those words were coming out of my mouth, I could feel the energy coming into my hands. All of a sudden, my hand is going like crazy. I'm drawing circles and lines on this paper. Everybody in class is watching me. I'm watching me because it's like my hand is somebody else's. And the teacher yells out from across the room, "Sherri, control it." And I'm looking at her as my arm is going, and I'm saying, "Control it how? We haven't had the class yet. I don't know what to do, you know?" And my hand just kept on going, and then eventually, a few minutes later, it just stopped. And I had made first contact, and then for several weeks, I just had those lovely, lovely circles. I drew the most beautiful circles you've ever seen in your life. But I got bored with that very quickly. I called my teacher. I said, "What do I need to do here? I'm not doing something right." And she said, "Well, what you need to do is you need to write a question and ask who's writing with you." And so I did that, and that's when all of a sudden the name Jeremy came through. And that's when I learned that you have to have a conversation here and that you can ask who you're talking with. But to get started, for everybody in the audience to get started, here are my suggestions. First of all, choose a time of the day when you can sit undisturbed for at least 15 minutes. Give yourself 15 minutes. If nothing happens in the first 5 minutes, probably not going to happen, and you can just wrap it up. But just try and find a place that's nice and quiet. Nobody's going to disturb you. Just sit comfortably, have a pad of paper on the table in front of you, or, you can bring yourself into the 21st century and do it on the computer. When I started out, I did it with pen and paper. Now I do it on the computer. So sit in front of that. then say a little prayer of protection. My teacher, Cindy, gave this prayer of protection to me in 1987, and I'll pass it on to you. I don't know if it's really necessary. I mean, I believe that like entities attract like entities, but I also believe it's better to be safe than sorry. So here's the prayer of protection that I use. It goes like this. I am protected by the love of God. Only those entities of the highest intentions can pass through my door. If others should try, my door will immediately close, effectively blocking them out. This is my prayer of protection. Amen. Then on the top of your paper, write down, will someone write with me? Then just relax. You've got to really relax into this. And if you want to burn incense or candles, that's okay. And then just do that. Just hold that pen there on the paper, and then eventually something's going to come through. Like I say, if nothing happens in 5 minutes, probably nothing's going to happen. Now, when you make your first connection, it's going to feel like somebody is kind of grasping your hand or your arm. So just kind of relax into it. And at first, you're probably going to experience what I did, maybe some circles, some figure eights, some back and forth movements, and that's okay, that's cool. Then ask the entity for his or her name. Just write down on the paper, who am I speaking with? And then ask that entity what his or her relationship is to you. We all have a right to know who we're writing with. And then ask them if you have nothing else to say, if you're not sure what to ask because, oh my God, I'm finally automatic writing, somebody's coming through, what am I going to do? Which is the usual thing, when you first get started. Ask for a message. Say, do you have something to share with me? And then with your hand, they're going to write it down. You're going to get that response. Now, the very cool thing about automatic writing, and I know I'm not giving you guys a second here edgewise, but the very cool thing about automatic writing is that you have a written record of everything that's transpiring. You're conversing with your guide or you're conversing with an angel, and you've got this all written down. So you don't have to strain your brain to remember it. You can go back and refer to it over and over. That's why automatic writing is my favorite way to connect with spirit. And that's it. That's all you have to do. Very simple. Meditate first. That goes a long way.
Now, how do you know that? Because our conscious mind, really like the monkey mind, as Eastern philosophy likes to call it.
Monkey brain.
The monkey brain. That's it. How do we know that the ego is not popping into this?
Yeah.
That's such a good question, and I guess you have to look at the content, really. First of all, I was popped out of my closet. I pulled out of my closet. I didn't want to go. All the information that I have is very, very positive information. The personal messages that I've gotten were things that had I paid attention to and listened to, my life would have been much easier. I'm not sitting here with voices in my head saying, go kill the dog or go kill the neighbor or go do this. I mean, those would be signs of an aberration of some sort. But, I questioned for years. I questioned, am I really getting this information correctly? And am I just a crazy person? I think if you question yourself and you're thinking along those lines, that you're probably okay. But I also say, on the other hand, if you are getting a message from your higher self, so what? Isn't it a good thing to be in touch with your higher self? If you're not going to pay attention to your higher self through that little voice within, if you're going to sit and do automatic writing with your higher self, I say yay. Go for it. Go to it. But other entities will come in too. And I mean, I can remember one time that my grandfather on my mother's side came in, and that shocked the heck out of me because I didn't really know him. He died when I was very young, and he had a message for my mother. And so I, dutifully wrote it down, and I brought the message to my mother, and she just broke down into tears because he said things that they had between them that really no one else would know about. So at that moment, that was a defining moment where I knew for sure that I wasn't, crazy or making it up.
So you would say that was a window of opportunity for you and your mother? Because for you, so. It defined that this is real, that you're not crazy. And yes. For her, whatever the message was another window of opportunity.
Well, yeah, it was nice for her to get a message, from her dad. And my mother was always very, very supportive of this kind of thing. I think I doubted myself more than she did. But I don't know that I can give you any definitive way to know for sure. I think you have to look at the messages and ask questions. Ask. Am I writing with my higher self? Why not ask?
With that being said,
Yeah, we're well over the hour here, so
I see that. Yeah, I love talking with you guys. Please have me back.
Good stuff.
yeah, very good stuff, Sherri. I mean, the energy has just been amazing, and I hope everybody out there is really feeling our energy.
I foresee us speaking with you again. So
I hope so, and I'm looking forward to everyone in your audience sending me an email, and I'll get those instructions out. They don't have to sit there at the radio trying to write down everything I said about how to automatic write. Just email me. I have it written down, and I'll email it right out.
Hey, speaking of email, would you give us your information and etc. again, please?
Yes, thank you. Please contact me through my website, www.sherri, Sherri, Cortland, Cortland.com. And if you would like an autographed copy of my book, you can order it through the website. Otherwise, Amazon.com, OzarkMountain.com, BarnesandNoble.com, and Barnes and Noble bookstores.
Yay! And by any chance, are you gonna get this translated into any other languages anytime soon?
Well, I heard that someone in Germany was wanting to translate Windows of Opportunity, and I know that the publisher does translate books into different languages. I'm not sure. That's a good question. I'm not sure what languages the books are in. I'll have to check on that, and then I'll post something on my website.
Because right now we have how many countries, Tom?
Well, we picked up. There were 2 more that added in this week. What was it? Poland and
Zambia. Zambia.
Yeah, so that puts us up to what, 63, 64?
63,
wow.
I think.
Yeah.
Well, I think go to Ozark Mountain, OZARKMT.com, and ask them that question about what other languages the books are available in. They'll be able to tell you right away.
Okay, great.
Cool.
Okay, well, I had a little bug in my ear a moment ago that I should share something that I wrote quite a few years ago, but I have a feeling there's somebody out there that needs to hear this. So a little background on this. I was through my journey and early in my awakening, I found myself in a county jail in Southern California. And I had this poem came to me, and it had to do with one of the guys there that I was trying to get through to. Excuse me. I call this Slam Click Click. I can remember when I first arrived. I wasn't sure what it meant to be alive. Confusion was the only sure thing. I didn't know what it was, just being. I looked over here, I looked over there. I opened the door and saw a blinding light. It filled me with fright. Slam, click, click. Safe behind the locked door. Sometimes I wonder about that light. I remember the fright. I push it behind and go about doing my time. Is time my friend or time my foe? Who am I really? Only I can answer. When it gets quiet, I think, is that me that stinks? The smell of my actions? Why can't I change? Am I doomed to a life of crime? Will I do more time? There's this guy I talked to. He started to get through. Slam, click, click. Am I really that dense? Am I really that proud? I built quite a fence to be one of the crowd. Should I try it again? Could he be right? Why won't I believe? Is it my fright?
Yay!
Wow. That is so apropos to everything we've been talking about tonight.
What was that word?
Apropos.
Appropriate.
Synchronicity.
There you go.
Okay, because remember, I'm an English teacher, and I always got to write down these new words.
So you learn snarky and apropos.
Yeah. It's hilarious, these situations you find yourself later on in life, because, If even 3 years ago you would have told me I was gonna be doing what I'm doing, I would have laughed at you. So,
Well, I would have said the same about myself writing books.
well, with that being said,
Condemnation without investigation is the height of ignorance.
That's right.
and
Thank you guys so much for having me on your show. I'm so honored to be on your show.
thank you for taking the time to spend with us,
Anytime.
because it's getting a little late you're on the East Coast time, right?
Yes, I will think about you as I'm getting up for work at 4:30 in the morning.
Okay.
Wow.
Fantastic.
I'll send you my vibrations then.
Remember, positive.
That's right. No, they'll be positive, I promise. Okay.
All right.
Thank you so much, guys.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
It's the right time to make you free your mind. Wake up. Then press rewind. It's the right time to make you free your mind.